Now, Christmas has come and gone. Such a beautiful day. You would want these types of days to continue. There is no day in the world like Christmas. Christmas is a beautiful day ever since I was a child. I was like the season, the beauty of the season, wherever you are, even if you're in Africa, if you're in Asia, if you're in Europe. See, you celebrate it in a different way. But the spirit of the movement at Christmas is always the same. It's that of joy, that of peace, that of merriment, you know, that of contemplation, but also it is a spirit of pain. You know, if you look at it critically, so Christmas is not just about merriment and contemplation, it's also about thinking of the pain that Jesus went through. And through that pain, he experienced regeneration. He experienced, you know, a rebirth. You know, you will think about the little babies. You think about that little baby that was born in the manger that became the Messiah. You see, that we are celebrating today. We are taught in the Christian doctrine that Jesus died for our sins. That in itself is a moment of reflection. You see, you should think about that, not in a literary sense, but in a very philosophical sense. What does it mean for people? Somebody died for you. Somebody died for you. Somebody gave his life for you. People do not understand this. It's a very deep and profound, very profound meaning in the death of Jesus. You see the peace that people felt, families getting together, even people who have not spoken for years, they come along, they come together and they try to make some type of peace. People reconnect with each other, people get together, people celebrate, even enemies sometimes speak to each other for the first time. If your heart is heavy about what somebody did to you when the person calls you and say Merry Christmas and you don't want to respond, you know, you think about it and say, well, maybe I can just say something. You might wish somebody Merry Christmas, and the person would take some time to respond, and the person will reflect. And after hours, you get a message back, Merry Christmas back to you. Even they never respond, it's no problem. Life goes on. But you see, the pain of Christmas, the pain of Christmas is what the children that are caught in war situations are facing currently. At the moment when, people are getting together to celebrate Christmas, you know, you have politicians across the world and the powerful nations that are sitting together planning to go and massacre little babies everywhere. Jesus was a baby in a manger that became the Messiah, that we are all celebrating in the world today, even in the Arabic countries. You see, no, you find that not every Arab is a Muslim, or not every Arab is an Islamic person. You see, but let me just say that in the Arabic countries, not every person you see in those countries are Islamic. You have some of them who are Christians, and these people celebrate Christmas. That is what a lot of people don't know, and they don't tell you about these things. You see, but the politicians of the West, they are always involved in this distracting game of self-serving motives. Trying to tell the world that the Arabs are all Muslims, and to even take it further, they would try to make you believe that these Arabs are like, you see, they're like fundamentalists. People that want to kill other people. These are what the politicians of the West. You see, the adulterators. These are what they do, or this is what they do. Yeah, they get together. Even during the special moments, they dress them in their dogs and Christmas clothes. you know, but at the same time, these people, they have no place in their souls. To think of the babies that have been mowed down, babies that have been polished off with impunity in the Gaza Strip, you know, in the West Bank, all that, in all those places. You know, I think about the pain that Jesus went through during this day. For me, Jesus is not just the biblical Jesus. Jesus for me is also the sociological Jesus, the political Jesus. You see what he stood for in a very political sense for the people, for humanity. We celebrate Jesus, the Christ-like Jesus. The spirit that lived in him, that spirit of resurrection, that spirit of uh, rebirth, that spirit of regeneration. Whilst we celebrate the Spirit, we have to celebrate the rebirth of nations, the rebirth of people. You see, the cleansing of humanity. You see, the purification of the souls of man. You see people waking up in the morning and what they want to do, the only thing they want to do is to think about going to mow down people. You think about going to kill people who did not do no harm to you, do you no wrong. But because you've been conditioned to think that those people are your enemies, all you want to do is to go and, try to find some reason, some kind of justification, some type of immoral justification to go and kill people who have done no wrong to you. You know, like I said, it's a distracting game of self-serving motives. You just have to, say that someone is your enemy, and on the basis of that misjudgment, or that perversity, you go out and try to do everything in your power, to exterminate people in a very punitive way. See, at Christmas, I think about the little babies, man. I think about all the suffering masses, people who have no food to eat. I think about the people that Jesus would have loved to meet. Jesus would have loved to wash their feet. I think about all those people. Those are not the people uh, that that sit in the castles. Jesus did not like those people. He liked the poor people. He liked the downtrodden masses. You see, he liked the people who are suffering from exclusion. He liked the people who have been marginalized, people who feel powerless. Those are the people that Jesus stood for. Jesus did not stand for the people who have the private jets, who have the yachts in Monaco, and all those types of things. Jesus did not like those people, and the bankers did not like Jesus. You know, well, there's a distressing poverty of sanity when all the people that Jesus did not like in his day and age or at this in his own time, these are people who are preaching Jesus, selling the image of Jesus just for profit to make money out of his name. Jesus will not be very happy about these things. You know, so you would imagine the kind of joy that people feel at Christmas ever since you're a child, you grew up during the season, a very special season, special moment. People come around and sit down and eat together, and share gifts to little babies and even to adults sometimes, and they tell good stories to themselves. You see, the merriment itself is just unspeakable. The level of joy in many families, you know, during this period is just unimaginable. You would imagine that, this joy would just inspire a sense of gratitude about life. It would inspire a sense of, you know, a sense of comfort in the souls of man to the point where you will not even think about going to do any harm to somebody or to any baby. You see, you will not think about going to attack any little baby. All the blameless little babies will be protected, you know, in the name of Jesus. I don't want to speak like I am a religious man, and I'm just trying to speak as a humanitarian, a humanitarian person looking at this and try to, think of Jesus, in this time, which is his time, you know. Now, Clay Daly came up the other day and spoke of, Ursula von der Leyen. You see, the German politician, the president of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. She has been given a new name by Clay Daly of I think, the Irish Parliament. You see, she's an Irish parliamentarian at the EU Parliament. He gave Ursula von der Leyen the name Frau Genocide. Now, Frau Genocide is nowhere to be found when children are being mowed down in Palestine. Frau Genocide is nowhere to be found when children are being polished off in the Gaza Strip. You know, you see, now Frau Genocide was the woman that was very vocal. I think she was among the most vocal people when it came to the Russian intervention in Ukraine, which she said what she called it the Russian invasion of Ukraine. You know, She was among the people that were very, supportive of the warrant of arrest that was issued by the ICC. You know, the International Criminal Court of Perversity. You see, she was among the people that celebrated that warrant of arrest against President Vladimir Putin for removing, children from a war zone, Ukrainian children as they call them, and these children were taken to Russia for safety. But you see, von der Leyen, who has been given a new name, Frau Genocide, was among the most vocal critics of that move by the Russian president. But we all know that it was about to save the lives of those children who were caught in the war zone. Those were blameless little children that had nothing to do in the war zone. That was a war that was not even supposed to be in the first place. You have people, brothers, brothers fighting against brothers, brothers getting entrapped by an outside oppressor, an outside adulterator to wage a war against their own brothers. The war between the Russians and the Ukrainians. That's what I'm talking about. You know. So these are the kinds of things that we think about. Now, Frau Genocide has nothing to say when it comes to the carnage, in the Gaza Strip. You always see babies are getting mowed down, babies getting killed with impunity. You see people running around with babies, torn babies of shattered bodies of blameless little babies, that getting killed with impunity in the Gaza Strip by the Israeli Defense Forces. This is a war that was never intended to be. If people could just find these moments of peace in their hearts to sit down and talk to each other, humans, you can love your pets so much, but you cannot find any space in your heart to think of the love for humans. You know, there's a distressing poverty of sanity that people would, you know, try to diminish humans to the level of a beast, and take and elevate the beast to the level of humans. You see, I'm not saying that animals are beasts. Animals are just as godly. You see, because they were created by the Most High. But the people that claim to have pets, that claim to love pets, those are among some of the biggest meat eaters in the world. You know, you see, so those are the kind of things, those are the kind of inanities that we have to deal with in the world. It's quite amazing to think about these things that way. So I've said that the carnage in the Gaza is so sad. But there is a meaning behind that too, you know, because Frau Genocide understands these things because she's in the gang of impervious ideologues of Europe. You see, the politicians who are out to domesticate the masses for their self-serving motives. In this distressing game of self-serving motives, you have a gang of European or Western politicians who are working in tandem, to domesticate humanity. You see, so these are the kind of things we have to deal with. Now, the more dreadful the carnage in the Gaza, as I've said, the more dreadful the carnage in the Gaza. You see, the more spectacular the chances that the Germans are going to transpose their guilt to Israel. Well, these are things I've theorized about, and if you look at this in a very critical way, you don't have to take it uncritically. You have to look at things by yourself. Observe the world by yourself. You don't have to think about what other people think. You don't have to say exactly what people say. You think you have to sit down and make your own mind as you observe. You see, because science itself is based on observation. So if you cannot observe something, you cannot do sciences. So if you observe the conduct of Frau Genocide, you would see that she has no intention of apologizing to the little babies. She has no intention of doing what is right, even at Christmas, as she probably celebrated Christmas like every other human being with some sanity of spirit or sanity of the mind. What do you think those little babies feel when you hear bombs dropping on their heads, killing their relatives, killing their parents? What do you think those babies will feel? You know, so it's quite sad to think about these things. You know, you see, so it's something that It's something that should preoccupy us, thinking that we are dealing with people, we eat and dine with people, we celebrate the birth of Christ, but deep inside our hearts, in our innermost mind, we are the devil. You know, you see. So those are the things that people should consider. Mhm. Well, Max Romeo sang, "I'm gonna put on my iron shirt and chase the devil out of earth." You know, those are the people. When you talk of a devil, you would think that the devil is some creature with horns and things like that. The devil is a human being. The devil is someone that looks exactly like you. The devil is somebody whose conduct, you see, is so vicious that that person can do to you what you would not imagine any human ever doing to any other human. That's the devil. The devil is someone who kills you and is smiling and kissing your lips. That's the devil. Smiling at you while kissing at your lips. The devil is somebody while stabbing you with a knife and telling you, baby, I love you. You know, they stab you in the back. Backstabber. A song by Israel Vibration is singing about the devil. Those are the things. The devil in human flesh. That is what the devil is about. It's not something that comes from the sky. You know, it's something that is inside of the mind of the man. That's the devil. It lives inside the minds of people. The devil resides in the minds and in the souls of people. It's not it's not something you would see. You don't see the devil. You experience the devil. You dig? That's what the devil is about. It's not something that is going to come in the night to knock at your door and try to frighten or scare your children away. It's something that is inside the minds of people that you work with. It's inside the minds of a woman that you sleep with. It's inside the minds of, you know, the minds of the people that serve you food at the restaurant. The devil is inside the minds of people. You know, that is where purification has to start inside the minds of people. You see, that is where the erasure of the essence of humanity begins in the minds of people. You have to cleanse that spirit inside the minds of people. You know, you see in Ukraine, you find soldiers fighting Ukraine at Christmas Day. People fighting a war on Christmas Day, killing each other on Christmas Day, while in the rest of the world, you find people celebrating these beautiful moments, celebrating the birth of Jesus, the Messiah. You see, you're celebrating the birth of Jesus, celebrating the spirit of regeneration of mankind, but you find soldiers killing and being killed at Christmas Day or on Christmas Day. Soldiers being polished off at Christmas, and soldiers exterminating entire communities at Christmas. So there's a sorrowful absurdity, just the thought of this, just to think about life in this way. That on the one hand, you're thinking about, celebrating this big moment. You see the coming of the Messiah. On the other hand, you're celebrating, you're staying silent when little babies are being mowed down with impunity across the world. Everywhere. That's the same thing in Africa. It's the same, in countries like the Congo. You see the war has been raging on in Congo for years. Over 10 million Africans have been exterminated in the Congo, and it's still going on. Unabated. There's no signs of an end in sight. You go to a country, you go to a country like Cameroon, you go to a country like Nigeria, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, you know, Madagascar, Mozambique. Children have been polished up with impunity. People wake up and go to one village in just one afternoon and mow down about 5,000 people, and it's okay, you know. So those are the things we have to do. If we cannot, as humans, be able to stop these things, then we are not better off. We are nowhere near the wisdom of that creature that humans created in the bushes, that creature which humans himself has christened the beast. So the beast is wiser than the human. You dig? the beast is wiser than the human because there is some logic in the actions of the beast, but the humans tend to act with so much irrationality. You see, so much recklessness. You see, the humans are trying to be rational. They say that they're the most wise, they're the most politic of humans, of the creatures in the world, of anything that lives in the world. The humans want to give themselves the liberty to think of themselves in that way. But in essence, the humans are rational in recklessness. Being rational and recklessness is about, expressing a whole range of frantic emotions. As I've said, you know, you have something you want to go and do. It's like you want to go and fight a war. You sit down and decide, well, this is a war that I have to do. I have to. The cost of this war is a cost that is necessary. You see, so you find necessity in the cost, that you have to take. And then you decide upon that necessity that you have to go and fight this war. You know, yeah, that's a rational calculation of utility. But now, in the actual pursuit of that war, you become reckless. You become ungovernable. You become uncontrollable. Your attitude becomes unmanageable. So you go on a rampaging spree, killing people, killing everyone, even people that did not do any harm to you. The little babies did not go and kill anyone in Israel, but the little babies have been subjected to the most hideous of retribution. You see, retributive massacres of little babies, the punitive extermination of little babies under the watchful eyes of Frau Genocide. Frau Genocide. What have you to say about the genocide in the Gaza at Christmas? Frau Genocide. What have you to say about the punitive extermination of the blameless little babies in the Gaza Strip? So these are the things that we have to address, you know, during this moment of reflection, which is also, as I've said, a moment of pain. You see, a moment of painful deliberation. You sit down on your own and try to think about things. I mean, you see, you could be siding with people, you could gang up, you could be in this distracting game of self-serving motives. You want to gain as much as you want, but you don't want anybody else to gain to benefit from anything. Now you see, you could be among the people that think in this way, but at some point your conscience gets jolted. And it's during moments like these, moments of joy at Christmas, your conscience gets jolted the most. You think of the people who are dying as a result of the actions, dying as a result of the way you think, dying as a result of, you see, your support for policies which are not in favor of the preservation of life. The preservation of life, the respect for the principle of non combatant immunity. You see, your actions are acting in a way that is going to undermine this principle. So your conscience gets jolted. So when your conscience gets jolted, you could actually, go away from the people with whom you're siding and say, well, look, but what I'm doing is wrong. I need to actually raise this issue and talk about these things with the people that I'm dealing with so we can look at things in a different way. We can take a different direction to take because war is never going to be, the answer to everything. Even though war is not entirely void of virtue, you know, war is not entirely void of virtue. I keep saying that you cannot speak of virtue or in terms of virtue because in essence virtue is about goodness, it's about morality. You see, it's about moral goodness. But I'm saying that it is only through moments of punishing torment that man is known, you see, to have emerged from obscurity. You see, it's only through moments of pain that man is known to have been able to appreciate the value of joy, the value of happiness, the value of peace. It's only when man has experienced that moment of torment, that torturous, you know, torment in the spirit of man. You have to experience war to know what peace actually means. I'm speaking of the intrinsic value of peace. You see, so these are the things. So if this Frau genocide is looking for ways to transpose the German guilt, transpose the inherent German guilt, you see, onto the Palestine. No, I keep saying that onto the Israelis. There will become a time when she'll question herself. She'll question herself. Whoever's involved in this type of things, they're always fighting a very terrible war within them. You know what you're doing is wrong because there are rules that tell you that these are wrong things to do, and you don't have to transgress those rules. But if you continue doing what you're doing, even though you know what you're doing is wrong, at some point your conscience is going to get jolted. If you're human, if you're human, you cannot escape this. So as we celebrate the birth of Christ, as we celebrate the coming of Jesus, we pray that humans should sit down and contemplate on their own lives, on their own actions, you see, on their own humanity, on their own mortality, because the little babies that you're supporting to be killed, you see, are no different from you. The fate that befalls these children is the same fate that is going to befall you. You dig? So no escaping it. You have children and you're watching babies getting killed. You see, your own children will not escape that fate. That's the fate of man. So the humans don't have the capability, they don't have the capacity to live forever. Man does not have, no living thing in this world has the capacity to live forever. So if you're celebrating the death of someone, if you're celebrating when something bad happens to someone, you should also know that something bad awaits you along the line. You know, what the Germans call this Schadenfreude. Being happy when something bad happens to someone else. But you see, Schadenfreude is for everyone. You know, it's not for some people. What you celebrate is what others are going to celebrate about you. You know, so those are the things that happen in the world. We have to be careful with things we do. So we pray that 2024 brings humanity to the table, brings humanity into more contemplation, brings humanity into more deliberation. So we hope 2024 is more better, or it's better than 2023, which was among the most bloody years in my entire life in this world. It's been a crazy year watching all these videos, people getting killed, people getting polished off. We're watching all this punitive extermination, watching or reading about news where you have 500 soldiers getting killed in one day. You know, it's hard. It's hard. It's people dying. Remember when we were children in Africa, when you hear that somebody died, the whole locality, the whole community, the whole area where you live, sometimes even the whole town comes to a standstill. You see, somebody's dead. So people have to stop by to pay their tribute, their respect to the person who was passed on. You see, but life has no value anymore. Humans just go and kill humans and you just watch them on TV. You watch babies and you watch humans in the body bags, and you see if it's become very normalized. The errors have become normalized in the minds of man. You know, so we have to find a way to redress this issue or to address this issue in a measure to redress the balance. You see, to restore humanity. You know, in our effort to achieve, societal regeneration. You see, that rebirth in the spirit of man, you know, giving man or giving back to man that spirit of humanity, that spirit of humaneness, because we are getting more and more into this beastly universe. You see, the soulless universe. You see, where man has been transformed into beast, and the beast is being transformed into man. We have to find a way to, retrace our roots before we lose our way in this world. Because it's the humans that are going to destroy this world by their actions. Some people think that the world is going to be destroyed by God. The humans are going to destroy this world because the devil lives inside the spirit of man. The devil is inside the soul of man. The devil has no horns. You see, the devil has no horns. The devil lives inside the spirit of man. And when you activate the devil inside the man, inside the mind of man, you see, you bring humanity closer and closer to its ultimate demise. So I'd like to leave you here wishing all humanity, all the humans in this world, from the east to the west, the north to the south, praying for them, waiting for the moment when we all are going to sit down and say, well, look, we have something to do. We have work to do for ourselves as humans in this world. We pray for humanity. We have to take actions that benefit humans. So, and preserve our own dignity in the world. Share with your family, share with your friends, share with everyone this beautiful message of redemption, this beautiful message of comprehensive remediation at this beautiful moment. All right, I'll leave it at that.